For our tiny community, St. Spyridon on Thames Street is the church Greek Orthodox Newporters have loved for 100 years. But did you know we've only technically been a church since September 17th, 1989? That's when our building got consecrated to become a church. The consecration service begins with the Orthros to prepare for the consecration and liturgy ahead. The consecration begins with a reading of Psalm 143 and a prayer. The procession then is led around the church by the altar boys, followed by the choir, chanters, priests, bishop carrying the relics, and the community. The procession goes around the church once, then stops to sing the hymn of St. Spyridon and read an epistle and gospel. This is repeated 2 more times with different hymns being sung. The bishop raps on the door of the church and reads a passage from Psalm 24. Then the oldest member of the church, Miss Petropolis, the youngest member, Nicholas Bishop, the parish council president, Elaine Holder, and the godfather of the church, George Coulevardis, helped the bishop open the door and lead the procession back inside. Hymns are sung as the bishop puts the relics in the hole in the altar table, pours waxy mixture over it, and begins to seal it up. Next, the bishop puts on a white garment called the Spyridon and begins the process that is similar to baptizing and chrismating the altar table. He pours water onto the altar table 3 times, saying, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." The table is dried. Next, the bishop sprinkles rosewater onto the altar table, and then goes out and sprinkles it onto the people. The rosewater is wiped off the altar table with the antimisio. This cloth is decorated with religious images, and when signed by the bishop, it serves as a permit to allow the priest to celebrate the divine liturgy. Finally, Holy Chrism is poured onto the altar table, and again it is wiped off with the antimisio. Next, the altar table will be vested. First, icons of the 4 evangelists are placed on the corners of the table. Then the white cloth symbolizing the cloth Jesus was wrapped in for burial is placed on the table. This cloth can never be removed. The final cloth is the anditon, which is a more ornate cloth. Finally, the other articles are placed onto the altar table. Next, the bishop will anoint the church. He dips his staff in Holy Chrism and anoints the 4 walls of the church as well as every icon. Once he finishes, he prays for the altar and the church. Then the divine liturgy begins. When the service is going on, the members of the church can go up and offer some oil to be put in a vigil light. This is done as an offering to the church. Later, the bishop will put the vigil light on the altar table and it will burn continuously. Once the divine liturgy is finished, the church is officially, a church. This service is said to be the biggest milestone in the church's history, so I wanted more people to know about it. Even though this service happened 26 years ago, I still recognize members of the church that are here today. Did you know that at the time, Elaine Holder was the first woman in our church to be parish council president? The godfather of the church, George Coulevardis, was one of the people that donated to the service, and he, along with everyone else who donated, went into a raffle to see who would represent all of the godparents. Even though he won by chance, anyone I've asked said that they believed this was the right person. I agree. When I was looking for a topic for this year's film festival, my mom told me that George was the godfather of the church. I had been devastated in losing him since I'd never lost family before, and he was like my honorary papu since my real papu lived so far away. He took me to communion every week for most of my life, from right after I was baptized until I was 8 years old. I was glad to find a way to remember what he was to our church and what he meant to me.